when I think about dreams and goals, and beyond dreams and goals, really expressing that that truest essence of yourself, the fullness of you, all the awesome things that are you. I think about it very much like you would a garden. And planting the seeds, nurturing the space, and loving all over each and every one of those little things as they come into being. And the metaphor can be taken quite a ways to where, as we plant these seeds, if you keep digging it up, is it working? Is it working? Is it working? Like, you will kill that plant. It just won't make it, right? You dig it up too many times, it's like it needs its space in order to, to germinate and to really set root, and then we start to see the result on the top. It's like that for some of our dreams, for some of the things that we want to bring out of ourselves. And it's being willing to see the potential there, which really just starts with that idea. So the first thing that I want to talk about around this is just wanting what you want. I thought Dean's example was really great with the mountains and always choosing the hardest one. And like as Kisma pointed out, that was the thing that I thought about too, is that I wonder if you're choosing the one that's hardest because somehow the harder one has more value, or because it's what you really want. And choosing for what you really want is becoming harder and harder. And it's because of the noise in our world and just being completely inundated with messages about what you should want, what the ideal life is, what everybody else wants, their doubts, their fears, their desires, all of those things. And it's not all bad, right? I'm not here doom and gloom. But what I will say is that even in situations where I've certainly been there, you're working with a coach or a mentor and they want something for you. And they kind of heard what it is that you wanted, but all they really heard was that what they want for you. They heard what they wanted to hear that says, oh yeah, that's right, that's the thing. And so we wind up kind of railroaded into these things for ourselves, and it's like we get a certain amount of the way along the way, and it's like, well, wait a second. What do I want? What's really right for me here? That's important. It's really important. And what we stand for at Illumination Academy is about bringing that out of you and helping you choose what's right for you. And newsflash, like, you get to change your mind too. That's totally okay. Now, if you're bouncing back and forth between a bunch of different things, we're probably going to shed some light on that and say, hey, you're probably making this harder than it needs to be. We have conflicting desires that are going in a lot of different directions. But at the same time, we've probably all been there at a certain point in our lives where we get there and we're just like, man, is this it? Or I made a bad decision and I didn't realize all the baggage that came along with this thing that I said that I wanted. You know what? I think I'm good. I think we're going to try something different. That's okay. Those are pivotal moments. And it's being able to continually tap into your heart, the deepest part of you, and what you want. If that's the highest mountain, go for it. You'll have that much more fuel to get yourself there. But there's nothing wrong if what you really want is the not highest mountain. That feels really right to you. That's something that you really are lit up about. It's congruent with who you are, what you want to express in the world, what you stand for, your values, which may change over time, and that's okay. But we're entering into a time where we may not realize what we really need to support us. Who remembers December of 2019? We might have heard a few things. Oh, there's something happening. There's something happening. Well, this could be kind of a big deal. And we might have thought, oh, yeah, that might be a big deal. I guess. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But what we didn't realize is that it was already here. And that there were inevitable things that were going to happen that were going to impact our lives in major ways. And we flash forward even to March of 2020. And 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Great, nice idea. Anybody that was paying attention knew that was a lie or a fabrication or a, what do they call that? A sedative. But regardless, right? 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And it was years that it took to play that out. We're right in the middle of it without realizing it. That's where we're at right now with AI. You've heard about it. You've heard people talking about this is going to change a lot of things. This is going to change a lot of things. This is a pretty big deal, everybody. It's a pretty big deal, right? You've heard that. But we just don't realize it because we're not realizing how we're already interacting with it in our everyday life. And when you look at this and how it's playing out, what's on the table for us, it's important to understand that the only thing that we have is your own ability to choose what's right for you. And that's being outsourced right now. That's a problem, everybody. Here's why it's a problem. The reason that it's such a problem is because those algorithms are based on your old paradigm. I went on Facebook and I saw an ice bath. And I thought, that's kind of cool. I've heard about these things. And I clicked on one. And to this day, this was months ago, to this day, I see many, many ice baths in my feed. Like those guys retarget aggressively, Kudos to their advertising team. They will not quit. That's my past paradigm, though. That's continuing to be reflected out, to be propagated into my life right now. The same is true with your search history. It's all based on a past paradigm. And so it continues to show that to you. And now we have incredibly intelligent algorithms that will continue to show you your past paradigm again and again and again. Your comfort zone, your status quo. Click. So anybody that's moving to shift their paradigm, to shift their life in this way, you have to recognize going into this that there is a challenge. And that challenge isn't just the world around us and kind of pulling us down to the least common denominator. It's our own past choices that get reflected to us again and again and again, giving us the chance to opt back in to what we used to know and what we used to have. But we want something different. So you can shut it all off and you can go move on a mountain. Honest to God, that doesn't sound half bad to me sometimes. But when I look at what I really want for my life and what I want to contribute, that doesn't make any sense. Sounds cool for a minute, but it's not really where I'm headed. But if you're on that path, I highly recommend that you choose that for yourself now. Just go for it. But if you're not, if you're one of the people that really wants to contribute to something to the world, that you want to live in this world, contribute your work, your genius, your purpose into this world in a meaningful way, we're going to have to learn how to navigate this more skillfully. to be able to continue to choose what's right for you every step of the way, because the noise is louder and louder. And it's more and more clever at getting us to buy in. The algorithms can predict what you will choose better than your partner. Think about that for a minute. But it's not based on future you. It's based on past you. It's not based on where you're going and what you really want. Your truest desires. It's based on where you've been. And you can see very quickly how that leads to a feedback loop that continues to create the same in your life. Who wants that? Our ability to choose. There are three things that we need to fortify ourselves and to insulate ourselves in order to do this. Number one is community. We need people around us that are willing to see the best in us, to call that out, to remind us what really matters, right? We've all got that friend that we call when we want to know the truth. You've probably got the friend, too, that you just need to commiserate with, right? I'm going to call up this person, and they'll just get on whatever train I'm on, and they'll support me, and that's awesome. Like, we all need that. But we also need the friend who tells us the truth and reminds us of who we really are, what we really stand for. That's why we need good community around us. That's why this whole aspect of the ashram that we've created to support one another, to call out your best, to remind you of what matters most, and to say, hey, wait a second, you said you wanted this, but all your actions are not leading you there. So let's have a conversation about this. Where can we make some adjustments? Where can we make this easier for you? That sense of community around us, people who are really thinking about, number one, choosing what's right for themselves, and number two, supporting one another to choose and create something different, to live outside of that. That will be the minority by far. Most people will be very happy to outsource their thinking and outsource their decisions and play into the least common denominator, the status quo. So that gap between status quo and people living the lives that they really want will continue to increase. And they'll blame all sorts of different things for that. You know, they'll blame so many different things: the economy, the people, the Illuminati, you know, like the whatever, right? They'll blame all those things, but the fact of the matter is, the truth of the matter is, people who stay here are willing to keep choosing for the status quo because they're too scared and too afraid to choose something that they really want for themselves. And people who live here are willing to take a risk and willing to invest in themselves and willing to take a chance and they're willing to let themselves be supported and to receive the support around them. That's the difference. And it takes strength to do that, fortitude, objectivity. Which brings me to the second point. It takes great teachings. It takes great teachings in order to do that. Why? Because we have to be anchored and grounded in a code for ourselves that keeps us true. I live by a code. Right? And that's what keeps me true. Respect, care, acceptance, trust, and actualization. That's the code that I live by. What's your code? If you don't have that, and you don't continue to anchor yourself into that deeper and deeper, well, the next thing will come along. That'll seem pretty cool, and we'll run along with that for a while. Until that, I don't know about that, then I learn something new, and then I'm off in that direction. Bouncing back and forth. We wind up, you'll see this, a lot of people who have a ton of information and technically know all the right answers, but lack all of the depth about how to really live that in their lives and the fortitude to live that out, to really take root. We need great teachings, and we need the ability to keep diving into those in really powerful ways, to keep using your creative mind to develop that vision for your life. And third, we need great tools. Really great tools. Constantly upgraded tools. Because the world that we're dealing with today is definitely not the world that we're dealing with 20 years ago. And if you think about this point in human history, to have a revolution like the internet maybe 30 years ago, and then this propagation of information, right? Everything's available to us now. And now we're on the precipice of another revolution that will easily be on par with that, if not more. And I don't know that that's done us a lot of favors, because our internal wiring hasn't really kept up with the external world. Our internal development has not kept up with that, which is why you see more anxiety than ever, more stress, people working harder to barely get by and stressing themselves out every step of the way. We just haven't kept up the internal. And because our tools, the old school tools, are not equipped to deal with this new age. And that's something that you can tell that Kisma and myself, but particularly Kisma, are absolutely passionate about and committed to, is continuing to develop tools that support us in an ever-changing world. A world that is noisier than ever before and more clever about hooking us in to a different agenda. More and more clever to be able to set ourselves free from that, to do it more effectively, more quickly, and more cleanly than ever before. That development of the tools around this, the clearings that are available inside Meditation Nation, the self-coaching tools that are the whole methodology that is Prosperity Code Coaching Method, like all of those things have been painstakingly developed for the modern age to be able to set yourself free and to choose what's right for you. For that purpose, right? That simple purpose, to choose what's right for you. Why does that matter? That matters because you are unique. You have amazing gifts and a contribution to make to this world in whatever big or small way that will not only be so fulfilling for you, but will impact the life of everyone that you touch. That creates a feedback loop of evolution, of goodness, of care, of love that we can all get behind. This is a new time for us, everybody, and a new opportunity. That is why we're here. That's why Illumination Academy exists, and that's why the ashram exists as a container to support you with the community, the teachings, and the tools that will help you be more of you in a world that needs you more than ever. More than ever do we need voices like that. More than ever do we need true humanity.